Hello, everyone. Good morning and happy Vijayadashmi wishes to all of you. So today we are going to have a master class, and this is Grandmaster RB Ramesh from Chessgurukul. And yeah, hello Vishi. So we are planning. Audio is low. So let me come closer. So Vishi, can you please let me know if my audio is fine? Yeah, hello Jagrut. Good morning. So can you please let me know if the audio is clear or it is low? Please let me know in the chat, please. Audio is fine. Okay, fine. So today, we are going to have a session on basically chess improvement for players. As a player, we have many questions, we have many doubts on how to improve our chess, right? So that is what we are going to look at. And I will be showing some examples and teach like how to improve our calculation. Okay, fine. Yeah. So yeah, good morning, everyone. Now, the first thing is to improve calculation. It is very important we keep solving puzzles on a very regular basis. This is very important. On a daily basis, I would suggest to solve probably around 15 to 20 puzzles. Even if you can solve more puzzles, that will be very useful. Yeah, and for regarding the source of the puzzles, there are many websites like we have Chess24 or Leechess or Chess.com. There are many popular websites where they give puzzles. So you can solve puzzles from these websites. Or there are many databases, there are many books available on calculation, puzzles, combinations, and so on. You can get any of these books for your appropriate level and start solving positions regularly. Now, while solving puzzles, there are few things we need to remember, because I have seen in my experience as a coach that there are many players who solve puzzles on a daily basis, but they are not showing enough improvement. And this is a very common problem. Why is this happening? We solve a lot of puzzles, but still my calculation abilities are not improving. This is happening mainly because we are usually solving puzzles by moving pieces. This is one big mistake many of us do. We look at the position, think about the position, and we get attracted to a particular move, and then we start making that move on the board. And then the computer usually replies the opponent move, and then we think again, find the second move, and so on. And this is not a good way to solve puzzles. We have to try to get the full answer correctly and completely without moving pieces. This will result in very quick improvement in your analytical skills. Okay, so you're going to spend anyway the same amount of time, maybe a little more than usual, but you will make much more progress. Instead of solving many puzzles, it makes sense to solve few puzzles correctly. Okay, yeah, so happy Vijayadashmi wishes to all of you again. Okay, so solving puzzles, very important. Don't move the pieces while solving. First point. The second point, the complete answer should be found, not just the first move. So many of us think if I get the first move correct, then my solution is correct. It's not the case. You have to get the complete solution correctly. The next important point is if there is a good defense for opponent available, we have to find that good defense also. Many times what happens, we see a good move for ourselves, but we don't see a good move for the opponent. If there is a good defense for the opponent, we don't find it. Okay, this is also not the correct way to solve puzzles. If opponent has a good defense, you must find it yourself. Okay, so first thing, don't move pieces while solving. Second, if there is a good defensive resource available for the opponent. We have to find it. And third, we should get the complete answer. Getting the first move alone is not enough. And while solving puzzles, few suggestions. One, try to have a good concentration and look at the board, keep looking at the board, and, without any music or television or other distractions, because good concentration is also something you have to teach yourself while training, because not all of us can concentrate well on whatever we are doing. Our mind keeps getting distracted with the various factors. So you have to teach yourself to concentrate well. And while solving puzzles, you can teach yourself to concentrate along with learning the chess aspects. Okay, and while solving, it makes a lot of sense to look at forcing moves. Some players, what mistake they do, they see some quiet moves while solving puzzles, and as a result, they go in the wrong direction, and also they waste a lot of time in the whole process, and they don't get the correct solution, because most of us are looking at quiet moves to analyze. So it is very important we start analyzing with forcing moves. Now, what are the forcing moves? They are check, capture, threat. Okay, usually check, capture, threat, and pawn breaks. Okay, so try to look at these type of moves while solving first. Only if these moves don't work, we have to look at quiet moves. Okay, now let me share a position. One moment. Okay, so I'm sharing the first position on the board. Now, in this position, if you see, it is white to play. The black king is in the corner of the board, and if we can give a check, it will be a mate. But white has an exchange. White is an exchange down. He has two rooks. We have only one, right? So try to find a mate or a mating attack from white's viewpoint. It is white to play. White to play and win. So I'll give like 30 seconds or so to think. So this happened in a rapid tournament, online rapid, between Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen is white, and Vachier Lagrave Maxim was black. It was played in February of this year. Yeah, so I can see that many of you are getting the answer correctly. That's very good. So what happened in the game was he played bishop d4 check directly, and then after rook into d4, c d4, bishop into d4, the position became completely equal. There is no mate. But being Magnus Carlsen, he eventually won this position anyway. It's 2 versus 1, but the position is completely equal because of opposite color bishop and pawns being on the same side of the board. But what he missed was rook c8. So you see, even world champions, once in a while, not very often, once in a while they can make mistakes. Now the point is we are attacking the rook, and when the rook gets distracted, we give checkmate. Okay, so it's not very difficult, and it was very surprising that Magnus could not find it. But as I mentioned, it happens to all of us. Once in a while, we miss things. But if you see the move, the solution, rook c8, what does it do? It attacks, it threatens, right? So check, capture, threat. So this is a threat. And after rook into c8, bd4, which is a check. So you see the forcing moves playing. Check, capture, threat. It is repeatedly coming in puzzles. Okay, let's go to the next position. Now here it is white to play. White to play and draw. Now, why should white play for a draw? Many times what happens, we don't understand the danger we are in, and we keep playing some normal moves, and suddenly we get into trouble. So in this position, it is white to play and make a draw. There is a forced draw available. But first, let us try to understand why white should be playing for a draw. Material wise, if you see, both sides have one rook and they equalized. For the queen, black has rook, knight, and a bishop, basically rook and two minor pieces. And this is generally too much. Okay, the rook and two pieces are much superior to the queen. So white should realize, if black manages to probably, let's say, take rook into e5, then black king will be very safe with so many pieces around the king, and will be able to, black will be able to play for a win. So this is the last chance for white. If he doesn't act energetically here, he will be in trouble. Yeah, so I can see Harshit, Uday, Sudhakar, Trupti. Yeah, all of you getting the answer correctly. That's very good. So again, we look at the forcing moves. We look at check, capture, threat. Okay, so this move should come to us first because it is a check as well as a capture. So he takes, and the knight was controlling this square. So we wanted the queen to come to this f6 square. So that is why we sacrifice the exchange, forcing the king. So it's a check. So the first move is also a check and capture. Second move is a check, and we give check, check, and we escape with a draw. Right? Fine. So let's go to the next one. Now here it is white to play. It's the third position of the day. Now black has just played knight to c6, attacking the rook on d4. How should white continue? This did not happen in the game. It is part of analysis. So we'll be streaming more often from this Vijay Rasmi. It's white to play. Yeah. So black has just played knight to c6, attacking the rook. Yeah, so many of you have got the correct move, but I'm not sure if you have seen the follow-up as well. So many of you are suggesting the first move. Can you also give the second move? Yeah, Sudhakar. Yeah, very good. So we see the rook is under attack. If you're not tactically alert, what can happen is we may simply pull the rook back, maybe defending this b2 pawn in case bishop of 3, queen of 3, the pawn b2 might require support. So if you are not tactically alert, we will simply move the rook back. Okay. But if you are tactically alert, we can see that the king's escape square is controlled by the bishop, right? And this rook is overloaded. It is guarding queen e8 checkmate as well as defending the rook. So we can do this, and if he takes, then this is a checkmate. But let's just look at the moves closely. Now rook d5 is, yeah, hello Mr. Shakti Prabhakar. So well-known coach from Chennai, Mr. Shakti Prabhakar, has also joined us. Yeah, happy Vijayadashmi wishes. So here we are, the rook is overloaded, we are exploiting it, and rook d5 is a capture, queen e8 is a check, and rook e8 is a check, and it's a mate. So these are not very difficult. Okay, let's go to the next position. White to play. Again, in this case, white is an exchange down, and the bishop is under attack. Now, if you are not careful, what could happen? We will start looking for how to save the bishop. But we also have to realize the black king is not very safe. So how can we take advantage of this. Happy Vijayadashmi wishes to all. Okay, Bala Murugan. That's good. So on the one hand, our bishop is hanging, but on the other hand, like I mentioned, his king is not so safe. Now, many of you are suggesting bishop g7 check, but I am curious. What if I just take the bishop? What happens? We don't have this queen of 7. The rook is controlling. Okay, so bishop g7. So some of you are saying queen of 7, king at 6, queen at 7 mate, but unfortunately for queen of 7, he has rook of 7. Okay, so it is not bishop g7 check. Bishop g7 is a mistake. And another thing, if you see, we are not able to correct our mistakes. So I can see from the chat that some of you are persistently suggesting bishop g7, king g7, queen of 7, king at 6, queen at 7 mate. And then again, you keep repeating the same thing. So this is another area where we have to improve. What is that? Generally what happens, we see something, we like it, and we want to believe it to be correct. And then what we start doing, we start finding some variations, or we find some analysis which will prove that our move is correct. Okay, so we basically brainwash ourselves into believing that whatever I see is correct. If that is the case, we will all be very strong players already, isn't it? We'll be like a grandmaster or higher already, if everything we see tends to be correct. So what we have to learn is we have to be objectively critical of our own analysis. Okay, so when we look at an idea, you think the idea is correct, and don't get carried away. Don't get excited too much and start believing, yes, this looks interesting, so it has to be correct. Okay, it should not be like that. So we have to be very objective. Objective means what? Once we see an idea which seems to be correct, it is natural to get excited, but we have to ask ourselves, am I missing something? And generally what happens is we miss defensive resources for opponent at this level. Okay, at the upcoming players level, one of the common mistakes we make while solving puzzles is we don't see good moves for the opponent. So this is a very good example. Many of you, not just one or two, many of you gave this move, king g7, queen of 7 check, and you all thought king at 6, queen at 7 is winning. But very few saw that rook of 7 is coming, right? So this is what I'm saying. While solving puzzles, if opponent has a good move, you must find it. Otherwise, the quality of our analysis will not be good. Okay. So what we have to do, since the king is in the corner, we have to see which piece can be effectively brought closer to the king, creating danger. Now the bishop is already controlling an escape square, and the other bishop, it is already very close to the king. You cannot bring it more closer than this to the king. So it is the queen and the rook, these two pieces, the queen and the rook, they are not currently participating in the direct attack against the king. And there is no good way to bring the rook into the attack, right? It will take too much time. So we can eliminate the rook. That means it is the queen that we need to get into the picture. So queen g3 was played. Now the threat is very simple. We want to play queen g5 check and it's mate. So he has to do this. Why this? Because to clear the h7 square for the king. Bishop was controlling and we are capturing it. So we continue and it looks like the black king is safe, but not. We also have to see this check. Now, if he blocks with the rook, we simply capture and it is mate. So it is not possible. So the only other move possible is this. Now, this is the next critical moment in the game. Now, if we panic, we start counting material, and generally this is another common thing many players do. They sacrifice material for an attack, and after they sacrifice the material, they keep counting the material every turn, and they keep telling themselves, oh my god, I have sacrificed something, I'm material down. So in this case, white is a rook down, right? So then we panic and we think, okay, I'm a rook down, so I should probably get some material back. In this case, you can take queen into d7, get something in return, or escape with a perpetual check. So if you want, you can always take a perpetual check like this. And this is what many of us will do. But if you think your opponent's king is not very safe and you have sufficient resources, then you should persist and continue with the attack. So we have to ask ourselves which piece I can again bring into the attack. So whenever your attack seems to be slowing down, that is a good time to ask ourselves, maybe the attack is not working because I'm trying to attack with less material. So the obvious thing is to get more units into the attack. So you can play bishop f6. Now the threat is bishop checkmate. And generally we stop. So the human tendency is to stop very early, as soon as possible, stop the analysis. Okay, but we have to see that black can still, he doesn't have to resign. He can continue with g5. So now we have to find the mate. Now, if you take with the pawn, then he comes and sits in this square, and it is not easy to find good check for white. So you have to consider the other capture, bishop. Now, he has two moves. One, he can move the king, or he can sacrifice the rook. Now, Shrishti, please don't spam the chat. Okay. So if you move the king, then we can give this check here, check and mate. Okay. So from this, it is clear that he cannot move the king. So the only other alternative is to capture. Now, it is very important we add new units into the attack. So the queen is already participating in the attack. So capturing with the queen doesn't make sense. So you have to do this capture. Now, what is the point? You are adding one more pawn into the attack. Okay. So now he has to move the king. And here we give check. He goes here. Now check here. Now we see with just the queen, we cannot deliver checkmate. So again, we are facing the same issue. How I can bring more units into the attack. So here what we do, we take the help of the pawn. So now we are threatening queen checkmate. And it's not 100% over. We are very close. So the only check he has is this. So we have to consider this check as well. Now, if I go to h2, unnecessarily, I will either give queen d6 check or queen e5 check, queen g7, right? For example, if I go here, he can do something like this, and then the king becomes safe. So we have to be accurate once we get a good position. Many times what happens, we do a lot of hard work, get a good position, and then relax. And when we relax, what happens? Mistakes will happen. So we have to keep a high level of alertness till the game is over. So we have to go king h1. Now, no more check, and you cannot stop queen h7 mate. Okay, so we just solved a few puzzles. Maybe I can show one more. Fine, so it is black to play. Let me flip the board. It's black to play. White just played b4 and he's attacking our knight. So what should black play here? It's black to play. So the knight is under attack. What can be done? Yeah, happy Vijayadashmi wishes to all. So generally what happens is when we see something under attack, our mind usually tries to defend. We get into the survival mode. I'm in danger. I have to survive this day from this danger. Okay, but from this position, what I'm trying to teach is the importance of counterattack. So most of you are suggesting knight d3, but that is not the best move, but that is the obvious move. Right? You see the knight is under attack and you want to move the knight somewhere, and then you start looking for safe squares for the knight. And knight d3 is a safe square, but that is not the best move. So the correct move is queen f4. We simply ignore the knight. Okay, some of you got queen f4. That's good. Now the point is, if you capture the knight, we can go rook d2, which attacks the queen, and also we are threatening queen f2, and it will be checkmate. Okay, so white will lose. He will have to sacrifice the queen, so he cannot take the knight. So we are threatening rook d2. Not only that, we are also threatening to take on e4. Okay, next to move. Apart from rook d2 threat, we are also threatening the pawn. Okay, so the move queen f4, what does it do? It simply ignores the knight which was under attack. So basically, there is a saying in chess, counter attack is the best defense, right? So when our knight was under attack, instead of defending the knight, we are counter attacking. We are creating new threats for the opponent. Okay, so let me show another position. One moment. Yeah, so in the previous position, okay, someone is asking why not g3. Okay, so let me flip the board. So queen here, g3. Now what if g3? So this is an important question. The point is, if I move my queen, then he will capture the knight. But I can take queen into e4. Now the queen is under attack, so he is not able to take bc5. He will lose the queen. So he has to take, and we have won a pawn. Okay, black has won a pawn. We should gradually convert this extra pawn. Okay, fine. So it's good you spotted the move g3. Fine. So let's go to the next position. Now it's again black to play. there is a small tactic available for black. Find it. Anirudh, we are already into the next position, so it's difficult to go back. If Anirudh, you are suggesting rook 8 in the first position, you can take rook 8 followed by bd4 checkmate. So how should white play here? So please don't copy from the chat. Okay, try not to like look at what others are typing and then copy paste. Think on your own. So some of you suggesting knight e4, rook e4, queen f5, attacking both the rook and the pawn. And you didn't see any defense, so you thought it is winning. But I have two defense. One I can play here, or I can play queen e1. So probably in this case, you wanted to take here. The point is, if I take, then you can win the rook back and remain an exchange up, right? So probably this was your idea. But I have few suggestions here. One, I can maybe just go back. Okay, I don't have to take the rook and I remain with an extra piece. Okay, so if you go something like this, then I will take, because now when you take, it's not with a check. Okay, so again, you see, we see the same mistake happening. We see an idea, we get attracted to that idea, and then what we do, we start brainwashing ourselves and convince ourselves what we have seen is correct. Now, to improve in analytical skills, it is very important we don't go into this self-brainwashing mode while analyzing. We have to just find the truth in the position. Okay, even if the truth we don't like, we still have to find it. Okay, so the move queen f5 was not correct. You have to take queen d5. This was suggested by many of you, but most of you suggested queen f5. I think most of you got carried away by the chat. So my suggestion to all of you is, even when you are attending these type of sessions, live stream on YouTube, there are many channels doing this. Try not to follow the chat too much. Okay, if you are interested more in entertainment, it's fine. But if you are attending these type of sessions for your chess improvement, then it is very important we don't follow the chat too closely. What can happen is our mind will start getting distracted by different ideas suggested by others. And as a result, we will not be thinking on our own. Okay, but when you play in a tournament, there won't be any chat to ask for suggestions, isn't it? So you have to think on your own. There is no one going to help you or suggest ideas. So teach yourself to focus just on your own analysis. Okay, so let me give one more position. Okay, white to play. White to play. White has sacrificed a couple of pieces for an attack, and it looks like This attack has come to a stop, but it is not the case. Yeah, in the previous position, finally we will get back the knight on c6, and black remains an extra pawn. So now we have one interesting idea, but the move order is important. Okay, which one we play first, which one we play second. This is very important. So what is the idea? The idea is knight e6, rook f8. So this combination will end in a mate. But the question is, should we play rook f8 first, or should we play knight e6 first? What do you think is the correct move? One is good, the other is losing. One is winning, the other is losing. So which one is correct? First move knight e6 or first move rook f8? So please check your analysis carefully. Don't brainwash yourself into believing what you see is correct. It's a very, very, very common mistake. 99 out of 100 chess players make this mistake. So many of you are suggesting knight e6. And what you just saw is that queen is attacked. He will take and we give checkmate. Okay, but this is not correct. Can someone tell me why? Why this is not correct? Why 96 is not correct? What did I say in the previous position? What is the best defense when you are under attack? It's counter attack, not defense. Okay, so he is attacking our queen. Why not we attack his queen? Now the rook is controlling the f8 square. Okay, now if he takes the queen, we take his queen, and white is 2 pieces up. Okay, so knight e6 is a blunder because of bishop e5. Now, at the beginning of this session, I mentioned few things, if you remember. One, I said, don't believe whatever you see. Okay, learn to be self-critical. Okay, we should not think like I can never make mistakes, only others make mistakes. Okay, we have to be humble and accept I can also make mistakes. Okay, and how do we avoid these mistakes? Only by avoiding these mistakes, we can go to the next level. We can improve our chess. So we should be curious. How can I avoid these type of mistakes? I see something and believe all those analysis. Okay, so you can say we are a bit naive, right? So what we should do, we should not try to just say if it is white to play and win. It does not mean black to play and lose. Okay, nobody is interested in losing games just like that. Okay, so you have to take special care to find opponent's defensive resources. Okay, and that's what I mentioned while solving puzzle. It is not enough if you find the first move correctly. You have to find the complete puzzle correctly. This is one thing I mentioned. The other thing I mentioned was, if there is a good defense for opponent, we must find it. Do you remember? I told this, right? If you find, if you don't find the opponent's defense, it's not good. Okay, so this bishop e5 defense for black, you should have found. Okay, and more such details you find, you will improve faster. Okay, so please pay attention to these factors. So the other move order is important. So in our analysis, if you just find the correct idea, it is not enough. Okay, if you find the correct idea. So there are two things, just like a train runs on two tracks, right? For a train to run, you need two tracks. And similarly, in our analysis, there are two tracks, two things. What are they? One is the idea. Like we all saw the idea, rook of 8 96 or 96 rook of 8. Okay, so this is the idea. This is one track. But many of us are trying to ride the train on one track. This is the problem. And the train will derail. It will fall down. And some accident is bound to happen. So what is the other track, which is very important, equally important? That is checking the analysis for mistakes. This is what we are not doing. We are getting carried away by our ideas. Okay, we see some idea, we get excited, and then we brainwash ourselves into believing we have seen everything. And as a result, mistakes are happening. So what we should do, after we see an idea, and at first sight, it looks to be correct, you have to immediately become alert. You have to tell yourself, I have seen an exciting idea and it seems to be working. Okay, here the main word is seems to be working. Don't believe it. Okay, have you all heard about the mirage in desert? Concept of mirage? Have you all heard about this? What does it mean? What does it mean? So it's like if you're driving in a hot weather, right? Even in highways or near desert, what happens is you will see like there is some water in the distance, right? And then when you go closer, there is no water there. It just appears like water, right? So the same way, many times when we analyze positions, it looks like we have got the answer. Okay, but you have to realize many times it's just an illusion. Okay, it's not really the solution. Okay, so don't believe your first ideas. Okay, whatever ideas that come to your mind, I'm not saying they are going to be wrong, but you should not assume they are correct. Okay, so you have to realize it is 50-50. I've seen an idea, it appears to be working, so maybe it is correct, but let me make sure that it is correct. Okay, you have to immediately become very alert. So, and start checking. And while checking, you would have seen some move for the opponent, and then that seems to be working. Okay, but then what you have to do, try different moves for the opponent other than the move which you already saw. Okay, so here he is forced to take, and now you take 96 check. Okay, so if he moves the king, you can take the queen with the knight, and these pieces are not in the corner. They are stuck in the corner. They are not playing a major role. And also the king is still under attack. Okay. Or I can also consider this because of double attack. Okay. So this is also quite decent try. And black pieces are completely tied. Okay. But probably knight g7 is better. The other idea. Okay, we don't have to, we can keep some pieces so that the attacking potential is more. Fine. So now maybe one last position before we can discuss some chess improvement related questions. White to play and win. So remember, just the idea is not enough. The execution, the analysis is also very important. Yeah, so Arjun Murali explained it well. We should be trying to refute our own ideas as much as we try to make it work. Yeah. Yeah, so many of you are getting the answer correctly. This is good. Double check and it's met. Nice, right? Yeah, fine. So few things we learned in today's session is one, we have to be objective. We should not be subjective. Okay, what does it mean? Means we should simply be interested in truth. Okay, so chess improvement is possible. See, many of us, what we do is we want to become international master, grandmaster. We want to improve my rating. My rating is 1800. I want to become 2000. I want to become 2200. So most of the time, our thinking is in this direction, right? We are only thinking about achieving things. We are worried about the results, right? And our whole preparation uh, is about improving my rating, getting this norm, that title, and so on. But as a result, what happens? Many of us don't achieve our targets because we are just looking at the targets. The targets become everything. Okay. And when we are, after a few years, when we are not going closer towards the target, then we get upset and we get frustrated, right? And many young children, they quit chess because they all thought they will become world champion when they started playing the game. But after a few years, they realize even becoming district champion is not easy. Okay, so why this happens, and this happens to a lot of people, very sadly. Why this happens? Because we are mostly working about thinking a lot about the target. Okay, increasing my rating or getting this title or norm and so on. Then does it mean having target is not good? Hmm? I'm not saying that. Target, why we should have. So imagine if we are in a boat, okay, with that row a boat, no? So in a boat in the middle of the ocean at midnight, completely dark, no moon, nothing. Okay. So now will we feel encouraged to row the boat? And in which direction we will row? Left, right, front, back? We won't know, right? And we will feel very dejected because whichever direction we row the boat, it doesn't really appear to make sense because how long you can row a boat? The ocean is huge, right? Even if you row a boat for 1 year, maybe we will not reach uh, the land. But if you suddenly see a lighthouse, okay, and lighthouse is normally built on land, right? So then we know, okay, so the lighthouse is on my right, so there is a land. So then that gives you hope, right? The land is near, I can see with my eyes. So then in that direction, you can row the boat, right? So you need a direction to focus your effort. If there is no lighthouse, if it is dark on all sides, which side we will go? Whichever side we go, it may be wrong, right? So there's no guarantee. But if there is a light, we know the direction we should take. Similarly, the targets, having a target, I want to become an international master, grandmaster, or increase my rating. That target, it will give us some sense of direction. Okay, how much effort I should put. Okay, and for how long I should put, what type of intense effort I have to put. Okay, so for that you need target, and the target should give you the encouragement, the motivation to put good effort. Just like if you are in the middle of the ocean without any hope, suddenly you see a lighthouse, then what we will do? We will go towards the lighthouse more enthusiastically with lot of encouragement and hope, right? Will it will encourage us to put a better effort. So the target, the main role of having a target, it should encourage us to work hard. Okay. Now let us see, you have seen the lighthouse. Now will the boat automatically go towards the lighthouse and reach the land? It won't, isn't it? It is us who has to row the boat, and the hands will pain. It will be very tiring, right? So just because you have seen the target, you will automatically not reach the target. You still have to put the effort to reach the target. Okay. So then our whole concentration should be on our effort. Okay. How we are rowing the boat. Okay. So you have to focus more on that. Okay. So if you just keep on looking at the target and forget to row the boat, it's no use. So similarly, if you just think about rating all the time, okay, today game I'm gaining rating, today game I'm losing rating, gaining rating, losing rating, gaining rating, losing rating. If you are all the time thinking like this, then what we are not thinking is how is my quality of chess? Am I playing good quality chess or bad quality chess? How can I improve my chess skills? We will forget about this. And when we are seeing chess, like for example, in the class now, we are seeing chess, our mind will not be thinking about the position. It will be thinking about other stuff. Okay. So our chess improvement is reliant on the quality of your thinking. Okay. How well your mind works when it is seeing chess. Does it find the good moves, or it is happy with finding bad moves? Are you able to concentrate well? Are you seeing the important moves in the position? Are you finding good moves for your opponent also? Or you are just finding good moves for yourself and fooling yourself? So are you managing your time well? Right? So there are a lot of things that are very important than rating going up, going down. Okay. So the quality of your thinking, the quality of your analysis, this is the deciding factor, whether you will become an IM or GM, whether your rating will go up or go down. It is completely dependent upon the quality of your thinking, the quality of your analysis. So what we should do is focus more on improving our quality of thinking. Okay, how I can think better, how I can analyze better, how I can avoid the mistakes which I am currently making. Okay, what are mistakes I'm making, how I can avoid these mistakes. This is should be your priority. Okay, so when you are seeing chess, at the same time, you have to see yourself also. Okay, how you are seeing chess. Imagine someone is driving a car, the driver is driving the car, you are sitting next to the driver, and let's say it's very dark, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, you are feeling very sleepy, but you are worried if you sleep, the driver will also sleep and some accident will take place. So what you will be doing? We will be watching the driver, right? Right? To make sure he does not sleep. So just like the passenger is watching the driver at night to ensure he does not sleep, similarly, when you are seeing chess, you have to watch yourself. Okay, am I concentrating well? Is my concentration good? Am I seeing the correct moves? So suppose you see one move, you think your answer is correct, but the answer is not correct. Okay, then what happens is, like, we should ask ourselves, like, why I didn't see the correct move? Means how we can correct this mistake? I saw one move, I thought it is correct, but it is not correct. So how can I find the correct move? Make sure I don't miss the correct move next time I solve. So what we should do, we should make a list. So it is called candidate moves. So we should tell ourselves, oh, I'm just seeing one move at a time. That is why I am not getting the answer. Okay, so I have to look at more moves than what I am seeing. So we should not just see one move at a time. We should try to see more moves. Okay, fine. So you have any questions regarding what I spoke about in today's session? Any questions? Please type it in the chat. So thank you, Vivek, for moderating the session. So if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Okay. What books would you recommend for openings and middle game? For openings, there are many books. Quality chess series are there. There are chessable courses. But you can also search for any opening you want yourself in ChessBase, and you can get these answers, get the material. You just have to see some good players games for openings. Okay, so normally what I tell, it is not the which book I should see. Any decent book is good enough, but how you see is more important. Okay, how you see. You have to see with a lot of interest and involvement. Okay, so we will try to do more sessions like this in the coming days, and we will also keep you all informed. So please subscribe to our channel, and we will be posting information about our upcoming streams. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending. Have a great day. Bye bye.